Hello, everyone. This is Pamela Topchian. I am the host of Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And I would like my guest to go ahead and introduce yourself and please share about what you do in the holistic healing world, please.
Thank you, Pamela, for this opportunity. My name is Nimesh Radia. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And after spending many years in the corporate world, I knew I had to leave to really focus on guiding souls through this spiritual journey. And what I do is I guide people through using various modalities to release their programming and truly become their authentic selves. I feel like the universe is pushing us. We're shifting from divine masculine to divine feminine. And I feel like as many of us that can be that light, can be the bridge, that's what we need to do. I feel like so many of us have been activated to do that. So thank you for this space. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again. So appreciative of you being here. I have to tell the audience that we did a little grounding session, just very short and tiny, but boy, it really felt good. So
Yeah. And
that's
anything
really
before,
sweet.
yeah, before anything, even in client sessions or
Hmm.
recording a podcast, I like to ground ourselves, cleanse our energy with white light, call in our guides, and why not, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Call in the team, call in everybody, just let's
yeah.
all join in the fun. Why not?
So you had mentioned about soul contracts and Akashic records, and so if we're talking to somebody who's watching this that never heard of those things, have no idea what that's about, can you please explain just a basic
Sure.
understanding of what that is, please?
Sure. So Akashic records are a record of everything your soul's been through, current life, past life, future life, parallel life. Everything about you is stored in the records. And if you get a reading or you connect with the records in some way, your guides will share what you need to hear at that time. It's like the human psyche can't take in all that information,
Hmm.
but you can tap into the records to get insights into what you need to experience in this lifetime. And it's not like they're going to give you all the answers because you're a soul having a human experience. So that human experience, sometimes you need to experience something, and that's where also soul contracts come in, right? You
Hmm.
Before you incarnate into your physical body, your soul already knows what it needs to experience in terms of how the soul needs to expand, but also the karma, the personal ancestral karma that needs to be released. Based on that, the soul connects with other souls and kind of comes to an agreement as to what between the souls you want to experience in this lifetime. So it could be love, it could be heartbreak, it could be so many different things. But so what happens is when you incarnate into your physical body, you've already had these major soul contracts kind of predefined. And if for example, if you knew that, a certain soul was you were going to fall in love with, but eventually was going to cause you a lot of pain, if you remembered that, you wouldn't actually maybe go into it. So this is where the veil of amnesia comes in.
Yeah,
As you do the work, the veil gets thinner and thinner and thinner. You start to realize that, hold on, you start to look at the souls around you and you understand why you incarnated them. And it's
yeah.
kind of takes you on that journey. And your blood family, that's a kind of
Whole different
you-
story.
yeah. Well, the thing is, our programming says that this is what we should expect from our blood family. Love, unconditional love, support. From our parents, our siblings. But that's not always the case, right? You pick your blood family to expand you, not always to love you.
And
And
sometimes that's not so easy. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and they,
And
but
that's where
they,
the lesson is. Yeah.
yeah, well, because they can press your buttons deeper than most others because one, they have history with you, right?
Yeah.
You've grown up, and secondly, it's your expectations. It's our program which says this is what we should expect from a parent. This is what we should
Hmm.
expect from a sibling, and it's that expectation, and it's kind of ancestral and it's deep. So all of that means that you know, somehow, sometimes our blood family can cause deeper pain. But
Yeah.
actually, once you start to ask the question, why did I pick them? And
Yeah.
maybe then you start to get insight. Okay, you know what? I needed to learn this from this person. Maybe it was ancestral. Maybe it's personal karma. You start to then accept, because the stages of
Yeah.
healing are first is always awareness.
Hmm.
And listen to the podcast like this, changing your question, really look at the souls in your life and really challenge that increases your awareness. And awareness in some way is easier because you start to ask these questions. And once you open the door to awareness, but acceptance is harder because you have to accept that your soul made these choices. You have to accept
Hmm.
that you've been this version of you and you've been whatever you've been doing for the past few years, you've been, and it's just, and once you accept yourself, you've got to fall in love with yourself.
Mm.
And the thing is that we're all going through a reset and a rebirth. And once you have to accept this version of you before you can kind of go through the rebirth and accept the new version of you, right? And it's just
Yeah.
so many of us want to bypass this meeting the universe halfway and just have this big spiritual epiphany. And it doesn't, you've got to do the work, right? You've got to meet the universe halfway.
Yeah. And so much in this day and age, it's just in with social media and internet. And I know you share with me, we remember a time when there was no
Yeah.
internet or social media, and there wasn't this immediate gratification and trying to skip steps to anything and everything that we want to grow into. So I imagine that now, when you work with people, it's probably harder now to get people to understand that it takes time and it takes work compared to when you worked with people, before all of this.
It's it's interesting. I feel like so many people are awakening in some form.
Hmm.
And it's like people start to feel different. And I honestly feel the next 18 months for the planet is going to be a bit chaotic. I feel like
Mm.
there's so many things that are going to be shifting, and but we all have a choice. Do we let the outside noise consume us, or do we do the work internally? And th there's probably no black and white. I guess most of us are going to
Right.
be part way, but we all have a choice. And there's no
Yeah,
right or wrong. Who are we to? Who am I to tell anybody that, you know what, you should do the internal work? It has to be their choice, right? I can,
absolutely. Yeah.
with this podcast and whatever else we do, we can guide and give people an option, but it's their option.
Yeah. Yeah. You cannot help somebody who isn't ready, themselves. Yeah.
100%. You
Even if
can
they
nudge
reach
them.
out for it. Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah,
even people reach out.
you can nudge them,
Right.
but you can't
Plant a
push them in
seed.
there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I know part of my role is an expander, right? I'm meant to kind of plant the seed and leave people to kind of, and it's like, whenever they're ready to reach out, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's up to them whether they want to water and that seed or not.
There's a timing to it too, right? And it's just,
Absolutely.
as you say, your analogy, sometimes you got to plant the seed and it takes time for it to sprout, and that's okay.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. It won't be the same if you try to rush it. Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit about soul contracts and the Akashic records. Can you explain a little more about the soul contracts? And then also, how do you work with people as a spiritual coach with these concepts? How do you work with people?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I try and explain soul contracts to people, it's apart from incarnating, but
Hmm.
it's also, you're you see yourself as your own superhero, your own Disney character, the prince or the princess, and look at all the roles in your life and know that everything in your external is a result of something in your internal. So it means that all the souls that are in your world are actually playing the roles that you asked them to play.
Mm.
And the interesting thing is, a lot of people say, "Well, hold on, why would I pick this? Why would I pick this person? This person's causing me pain." But in some way, your soul needs to experience that, and this is
Yeah.
the. And once you start, instead of being in victim mode, you start to ask the question, "What's my lesson here?" Then you start to get a different. And I get it's hard, by the way. I mean, I feel like spirituality is simple, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy.
Right, right.
And it just, when you're going, when it's emotion and you have attachment, but it's recognizing when a soul contract's done, because if you stay too long, then, pain is inevitable, right? Pain, we expand with our pain, but suffering is optional. So when we stay in a soul
Mm.
contract that's done, like a relationship, then that's where we suffer. And there's no
Yeah.
right or wrong, right? But it's a knowingness that, we chose this person to complete some work. And the thing with this lifetime is I feel like we've contracted some deeper ancestral work,
Hmm.
which is why we're going through so much, right, in such a short space of time. Because I feel like a lot of us have chosen to do deep ancestral work so the next generation doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question about what I do. It's just
Yeah.
I I love doing the one-to-one work I get to do. It's
Mm,
like the mentorship program I have is over 12 weeks. And I work on, we all have four bodies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And whatever we're working on, whatever karma we're holding on to, whatever inner child, whatever healing we need to do, could be in any one of those four bodies. So
mm.
I take people through a journey of really understanding their programming, their purpose, destiny, kind of. And it's like everyone gets stressed about what's my purpose, what's my destiny.
Yeah,
And I always smile because what makes you think your purpose is one big thing? What if it's multifaceted? And why would you want to limit
exactly.
yourself to one thing? It's just, I'll always say my purpose is anyone I connect with, I want to leave them better than I found them.
Nice. Very
And
nice.
that allows me to do podcasting. It allows me to do mentorship. It allows me to do Akashic Record. It allows me to do whatever I want because, and ultimately, if I've made a difference to one person every day, then I've achieved my purpose. And by the way, that could be just somebody listening to my podcast. Listen to
Yeah.
this podcast. That's, it's just don't don't stress about the future. And the only thing we can really control is this moment,
Hmm.
being present in this moment, the magic. Because let's be honest, look at the last few years. How much control have
Yeah.
we really had?
Right,
Who
right.
could have predicted, all being in lockdown? And I mean, lockdown for me is, I have a different definition of it, but who could have predicted any of it, right? Look at this
Yeah.
year, how much we've been through internally, how many ancestral cycles, how many karmic cycles. It's just been so much. I just really, the best thing that we can do is focus on this moment.
Yeah.
So often we wait for, what, I'll do the spiritual work when, maybe I'll do it in the summer when the weather's better, or, I'll be happy when I get this promotion or I'll buy this house. And it's like you're a soul having a human experience.
Experience it.
Not
Yeah.
exactly experience, and experiences in the moment. And
Hmm.
this is what I say. I feel like sometimes spirituality is simple, but not always easy.
Right. Right.
And it's like we wait for this a big epiphany, but you got to meet the universe halfway. And how do you meet the
Yeah.
universe halfway? You you spend time in meditation. You spend time in nature. You spend time with really strong self care. You look after the vessel for your soul, and you do all these things. You're more present.
Yeah.
You experience the magic that's happening to you unless you're actually present. Otherwise, we're so busy being busy.
Yeah, and stuck in our heads rather than
Yeah.
experiencing life. Like you mentioned, either going in meditation, going outside, and doing things that you're passionate about, starting, taking action on things that you've
Yeah.
been thinking about. That's living, not just waiting for something better and then not noticing what's around
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
A simple change I'd always recommend is just switching from I think to I feel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead of always asking, how do I think about this? Now, how do you feel about it?
Yeah. Love
Because
that.
how often do we have a question and instead of checking with ourselves, we go and talk to somebody else or we go and Google it, ChatGPT, whatever.
Right.
But why don't we just sit and just ask ourselves, how do we feel about this?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And it's just maybe oversimplistic, but it does start a change of reaction because our thinking comes from this human journey, from what we've experienced in this life. When we switch to I feel, then we start to switch to our heart, our soul,
Yeah.
which has so much deeper connections and so much deeper awareness as to what our soul's been through. So try it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I follow my heart and what I feel about things so much more than even if logically everything seems different than how I feel about it, I'm going to go with how I feel about it. So that's a life lesson I've learned,
Yeah.
through all these
But but
years.
but what's our programming say? Our programming always says, make your decision from your head, not from your heart. Don't make it from emotion. Well, what if that's all wrong? What if the paradigm now is to trust your heart, to trust your intuition, to what if that's so much more powerful than the head?
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned your podcast. You want to mention the name of your podcast?
Sure. So my podcast is called Spiritual Journey Path to Awakening
Okay.
and just released the 250th episode, so it's crazy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And just to give you a bit of background, so my journey, just like everybody else, when I first started out, I was very mental and kind of, and then when I kind of went through my spiritual journey, for a while I was looking to be fixed. Give me a course, give me a.
Mm,
Eventually I realized I don't need to be fixed, and everything I need inside me is the love, the joy. is all inside me. And I started working with my mentor, my friend Cedric Jeffrey, and I always thought we were going to kind of raise the consciousness of the planet together. We did events around the world, Mexico, Hawaii, Spain, UK, India, wherever. And she passed away in a fire in March 2020.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And she was only 38 years old, but she's now one of my spiritual guides. And she's
Mm.
the one that pushed me to learn how to read Akashic records.
Oh,
I
nice.
learned how to connect with the records because I wanted to understand my connection with her. I knew we weren't done. And,
Hmm.
you know, so she supports me on the other side and I do the human work. And sometimes I have a conversation with her. Well, hold on, why can't we do the other way? But anyway, that's a different conversation.
I love it. Yeah.
But through the records, I got the message that my voice is my gift and I need to use it. So that's why in October 2020, I started it, but I named it after her. So it has her initials.
Oh,
Spiritual Journey, Cedric Jeffrey. I wanted to honor her because she made such an impact. And I feel like somehow she guides the podcast. And
yeah.
I started it as a passion project, maybe one episode a month. I now do 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
It's like this, nothing scripted,
Yeah.
nothing whatever comes through. And I just, yeah, I love giving back. It's my way of giving back. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll have that information below, as well as your website below. And you are on Instagram, and are you on and anywhere else that people can find you?
Everywhere. I mean, so Insta's kind of probably the main platform, but
Okay.
LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you want to find me, you
Okay.
search enter my
Okay.
name, you can find me. It's just my deal with my guys is I'm going to just keep showing up every day, whatever way I feel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like this. You know, when I we connected on this podcast, I just thought, okay, this feels right, and
Hmm.
just have a
Yeah,
conversation, right?
definitely.
So love it.
Definitely. So what do you wish that you knew before you started this work? Is there anything that kind of surprised you or that you wish you knew before you started?
I really try and focus on where I am is exactly where I'm meant to be. There's nothing missing. There's no, I honestly, I spent 25 years plus in the corporate world,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed my time there.
Mm.
But the healing journey kind of started when I went through some dark times, but I know it's kind of all divinely timed. I guess
Hmm.
there's things like my dad was very spiritual. He passed away 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I wasn't. So I sometimes kind of wonder, well, hold on, if he was still in my world now, how much
Right.
impact would he have? But he's actually one of my guides. It's just like Sidra. So I wonder, mum passed away 15 years ago. So it's like the parental figures, and then Sidra passing 5 years ago. And it's just like, but they are exactly where we meant to be, right? It's just, so
Yeah.
humanly, you kind of sometimes wonder and you have those regrets, but deep down, kind of know that my journey and the journey I took was kind of mapped out. And it's exactly
Mm.
how. It's always interesting, right? I always the question I get asked the most is like, well, hold on, if your journey is mapped out, then what's the point? What's the point of
Hmm.
free will? And it's an interesting because your destiny, your purpose, your soul contracts, and free will. I believe the major point things in your life are kind of sort of preordained, but you can with free will delay things, slow things down, and you know, I feel like your destiny will eventually find you,
Yeah.
but if you can trust your intuition and then maybe your journey can be more ease and grace
Hmm.
and less painful because I feel like
Yeah.
universe has a role to teach us and the teaching begins with little nudges, pushes, little kicks, and then eventually it's like pushing you down to the ground, right? And it's that, you know, and we are stubborn though,
Listen to
right?
me already.
Yeah, but we are stubborn, right? We're
Yes.
as humans, we're stubborn and we all lots of people say, oh, I love change, change is the only constant. Do we love change really? I feel like we only love change if we can put it in a box. We can see it coming.
Right. If we can
And
plan
like
it
now,
out.
yeah, like now, the change that's coming, everybody feels it, right? Everyone feels
Hmm.
there's something coming
Yeah.
personally in the world, and it's making everybody nervous.
Yeah.
The shift from divine masculine, everyone's feeling like some sort of crisis inside because the masculine us is having an identity crisis, and the feminine us is kind of coming out, and it's just an interesting time.
It is. It is. I agree. Yeah.
But I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Let's see. I agree. Um, So, is there anything else that you would like people to know, or anything else that you would like to share before we end this today?
I would just say you chose to be here. And every soul that's here right now is needed and wanted. So you're meant to be here.
Wonderful
Nothing's
message.
missing. Whatever's for you will find you. And just start by taking a breath and just listening to your intuition, knowing and
Beautiful.
trusting that you have guides, just and let them guide you. You are
Yes.
love. Whatever the question, the answer is always, always love.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful message. Thank you so much. And thank you for being my guest today. Like you mentioned before, that, any listeners who are meant to find this will find it. Anybody who will gain anything from it, learn anything, hopefully they will find it. And we will have all of your links and information in the show notes and in the description box below on YouTube. So thank
Beautiful.
you once again for being here and being my guest. I am so appreciative.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for really having this space for openness and love and guiding people on the journey. So I really, really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.